This is Solaris 290, and I'm here to review Kingdom, chapter 546. So in my opinion, this chapter was more of a setup chapter, and it went by quite fast. But nonetheless, that's not to say that there weren't interesting things that occurred this chapter. Now, to start it off, from last week's chapter, Shin has taken over as the strategist, in effect, of the Haishin unit, after Ten realizes that Gyorn is just the worst kind of opponent she could have to deal with, and ultimately, against one instinctual type general, you need another instinctual type to fight. But with the lessons of high insight, as we remember, from around chapter 245 to 249, Shin had been leading the Haishin unit after Kyokai left, but despite him and En coming up with strategies, it didn't go well. And so Ten had to pretty much come in and bail him out, otherwise he would have got demoted. Now, out of interest, if you look at this week's chapter, it might look familiar to you, the chapter cover that is. I'll give you a few moments to look through it. Is there anything about it that has any familiarity? Okay, if you're not sure, then it's actually a nice callback to chapter 247, the Strategist's First Battle, which was where Ten had just joined the Haishin unit and effectively helped to turn their fortunes around. In any case, it's a nice way to acknowledge that Ten has had a contribution to the Haishin unit, but ultimately here Shin is the one who has the skills necessary to match up against Gyorn. However, as we see from the start of the chapter, even though the Haishin unit is gaining some of its fighting spirit back, it's still pretty clear that they're on the ropes quite a bit. While Gyorn is getting news that his troops are having a harder time now, ultimately it's still clear that even with Shin in command, Gyorn still has the upper hand in terms of strategy, tactics and experience. We do get a nice shot of Naki having confirmed that he's participating in the battle and has dealt a blow to Gyorn's troops. And Gyorn is perturbed somewhat by this, but also intrigued, noting that they've changed commanders and that clearly this commander is one of the same type too. However, going back to the Haishin unit's HQ, it's still very clear that the losses from last chapter aren't going to be immediately reversed just because Shin is in command. Ultimately, as I said, Shin is not the type who's good at tactics and strategy, and so immediately trying to take over from Ten isn't going to be very viable for him, and it's clear that they're not really doing any better than they were previously. Ultimately, though, Ten even has to begrudgingly accept that while under Shin's haphazard orders, some units are just folding over when engaged with the enemy. Oh, and one moment, there's this lovely moment with Bihei and Shosa, where Bihei is literally playing dead. Of course, only Bihei come with this kind of strategy, but nonetheless, it's actually a pretty good pragmatic strategy, and hey, he saved some of his troops' lives, so why not, eh? Anyway, away from that, so Ten notes that even with their strategy not being any better with Shin, and the troops still being backed into a corner, ultimately some of the Haishin unit's troops have succeeded. However, it's those who have succeeded in surprise attacks who have been successful. In any case, even Shin's own troops are surprised that he's the one giving out orders, but Ten does begrudgingly note that the fact they're even able to chip away at the enemy is still a definite improvement over how she was doing. Ultimately, as an instinctual type, or at least a budding one, Shin does seem to be able to read some of Gyorn's movements far more effectively. However, Gyorn still has the upper hand, which leads some of Shin's men to note that now is the time to use their reserve units located in the rear. While both Ten and Kyokai had thought the same thing, but hadn't voiced it until now, Shin notes that for him, it's not so much that he doesn't want to use them, but more so that he can't. He goes on to clarify that Gyorn has been looking around the battlefield in order to start a huge blaze, much as Duke Kyor did as fellow instinctual types, and that's the time when they'll have to throw everything against them. Alas, Shin can't still figure out what exactly it is that Gyorn is aiming for. Now, going to Gyorn's perspective, he finally sees something and tells all his men to begin, that they should all move from standby into battle. Shogalu helpfully explains that Gyorn has finally begun moving in order to create a fire, and that this battle will soon end clearly. Shin, however, sees the aura or the inkling of a spark that's about to start. He understands that there's a certain heat from that position, and he soon notes that that is where N is faring. Whilst N is doing his best to stand his ground and hold the line, Shin immediately decides that this is where all their reserves should rush to help. He asks Kyokai to take command of these units. Kyokai doesn't say anything, but it's clear that she has a greater understanding of how exactly this could impact the battle as a whole. So, from the Hishin unit's perspective, we can see the reserves of Gyorn moving towards where N is. But now, Shin finally comes to an even more significant realization. While he's pondering about why he made Kyokai go on ahead first, and why he didn't just go with her, ultimately there's been this nagging feeling of unease that's been with him since Gyorn's been making his moves. Shin wonders, is the blaze not on the right side only? In fact, he now, deep within his gut, figures that, while there is going to be something breaking out at Ensan's spot on the right, there could be something even more about to occur. While Kyokai rushes off to help N, Shin still feels that there's one other place that he might be missing, and then finally he discovers it. While taking the HQ's guard cavalry, he runs off, noting that there's one more place that will decide victory or defeat. Although it could be said to be more like an action, ultimately, as the visual from Shin shows us, the whole battlefield with the blaze on the right, which is where N is located when Gyorn is likely attempting to go, but suddenly, according to Shin's perspective, there's a narrow passage leading right to the enemy HQ. Alas, Shin is not the only one to have found this hidden passage, as it were. Ultimately, as Shin was able to see it, the fact is that he should have been able to see it too. And as the chapter ends, Shin and Gyorn sure to be a confrontation that will be extremely exciting next chapter. Finally, we'll get that epic climax, a duel between Shin and Gyorn, and I can only wait to anticipate what will occur next chapter. Give me your thoughts and comments below, like and subscribe.